In the last inventory series, not only were there some bugs and a few potential features I didn't include, such as mobile support or item dropping, but I never even got around to scripting the saving and loading portion. But since the code is a bit old at this point, I figured I could do it a lot better now, and I figured I might as well remake the whole series entirely, so that's what I'm doing. This is Inventory Remake 2023 Episode 1, and I hope you enjoy. We're going to make this system using mostly module scripts, so I recommend, if you're not super experienced with those, that you do some research before starting this tutorial. This system should work well as a standalone system that can fit into your projects with minimal adjustments, but feel free to vary from what I show however you desire, since there's about a million ways you can make an inventory, and this series is just to give you the experience and a place to start from more than anything. First, we'll add a folder to replicated storage for our module scripts, and insert a couple basic module scripts of mine called Janitor and Signal. These modules have been updated since the recording of this video, but should have the same functionality and more, and can be found in the Nines Scripting Lessons Discord server in the description, as well as on the developer forum in another link that will be provided in the description as well. Janitor is mostly useful for keeping track of various different things you need to clean up in your code and do them all at once with a simple function call. Signal is essentially a modular replacement for remote events, remote functions, bindable events, and bindable functions, but do note that it's not really any more exploit-proof than regular remote events are, and is simply for ease of use so we don't have to manually make events for everything. Insert a local script into starter player scripts and call it inventory client, and then we'll insert a server script into server script service and call it inventory server. Now we'll head on to making the GUI for the hotbar and the inventory. Create a frame for the inventory background and center it in the middle, making it a decent size and scaling it however we want it. Then we'll add a UI corner object to round the corners for aesthetic. Then we'll copy it and move it down to create the hotbar, scaling it to be shorter and wider so it can hold all of the hotbar slots. We'll insert a frame into the hotbar and design it as a hotbar slot, adding a UI aspect ratio constraint to make sure it's a square, and adding a UI list layout into the hotbar frame to organize the hotbar slots into a list. We'll then give some padding between each slot and center the slots in the UI list layout by setting horizontal alignment and vertical alignment to center. Finally, we can clone the samples to see how the hotbar slots are going to look. Then I'll add a UI padding to give some room between the outer edge of the hotbar and the slot frames and adjust that until it looks good. At this point, we'll remove the extra sample slots since we'll need to add some extra stuff and we'll copy them again later. I also realized at this point that what I need is an image button instead of a frame, so you'll want to change that as well, since we'll need that to insert the tool image and so the user can actually press the slot to select it. After making the image button look the same as the frame did, we'll add a test image just to see what the hotbar might look like when an item is equipped to it. I'll use this coffee image from one of my other projects. As we can see, it looks pretty legit, so I'll add a text label to show the amount of items in that slot, and another to show the slot number for PC users. You can feel free to adjust both of these however you'd like, so long as there's a text you can edit for both of them. Now we'll copy the samples again and rename them accordingly. Afterwards, we'll change the slot number text labels to match as well. In the last video, I made it sort alphabetically, but I realized later on that that's not necessary, so long as you ensure the slots are in the correct order and reorder them if they're not. The order is based on whichever frames were inserted most recently, so if you want one frame to appear to the right of another, simply select those frames, cut them, and paste them back in again. Do this until they're in the correct order. Moving back to the inventory frame, we'll add a title text at the top to label the inventory for players. We'll then add a frame inside the inventory and call it Item Info, which will move to the right side of the main frame to store the information for the currently selected tool in the inventory. We'll copy the title screen over to this frame and adjust it accordingly, labeling it as Information. We'll copy the item info frame we just created and shift it over to the left to create a place to equip armor items later on near the end of this series. Back in the item info frame, we'll copy the title text and shift it around to create the text where we'll put the name of the current selected item, setting the text to No Item Selected for now. We'll then copy that again and move it down to create an item description, changing its text to none other than good old lorem ipsum for the memes. We'll then scoot it up some to make room for a couple buttons we'll add in. We'll make one button called Equip, which will function similar to in the last tutorial to equip items to the hotbar, with the added functionality of equipping armor, and another button called Drop for dropping items on the ground. Finally, of course, we'll head back to the inventory frame and add a good old scrolling frame, which will contain the UI for the items in our backpack. We'll center it and scale it to be most of the inventory frame size, adjusting the background color for aesthetic purposes. We'll copy the slot frame from the hotbar, but remove the slot number text to the top and add a UI grid layout to the scrolling frame. We'll then rename it to sample and clone it a few times while we adjust the UI grid layout to make sure none of the sample frames overlap and that they look good with an image to test. Now we'll head back over to the Armor GUI from earlier and add an inner frame with a brighter color for aesthetic appeal. Then we'll remove all of that because we're indecisive and can't decide what we like, add a clone of the sample frame from the inventory and name it head slot for head armor, and then finally add the inner frame back because we decided we actually do like it after all. We'll then move the head slot into that inner frame along with the UI list layout and scale it to fit the inner frame. Adjusting the head slot, we'll change the count text to head and move it up to the top to label the slot. Then we'll add some padding to the inner frame to give the head slot some more room to breathe. Then we'll copy the head slot a couple of times to create a chest slot and a feet slot, as those are the armor slots we're going to have. We'll then adjust the padding in the UI list layout so the slot labels don't overlap one another. Finally, we'll rename each slot and change their labels accordingly. And after some final adjustments, our hotbar and inventory UI are as good as complete. We'll add a button for opening and closing the inventory later, but at the moment of recording, it slipped my mind until later as I'm scripting. We'll now set the .visible property of the inventory frame to false so we can see what we're doing in Studio again. Thank you guys for watching, and let me know if you like this new style of editing I've been doing better or worse than what I've done in the past. Also, let me know how the pace feels, as I'm open to feedback on that as well, or if you have any suggestions for future tutorials to work on after I complete this series.